And we always like to get big stars on the programme, and they come no bigger than Dame Kelly Holmes. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you.
This is going to be the shortest interview you've ever done. Let me tell you why. I can't understand why you need to release a book called Get Your Kids Fit. How come mothers and fathers don't realise they've got to do that anyway?
Well, this is it. I think it's about kind of getting the parents to realise that they may well have some responsibility in the fitness and kind of well-being of their kid other than what happens at school. And I'm not saying that parents don't as a whole, but I think the general consensus is about sort of the children going home at night, playing PlayStations, watching television, going up in their bedrooms, locking themselves in, playing their music, and really not doing much else. And I think it's kind of, for me, bringing out a book which is a parent's guide really to a healthy, happier, active kid was sort of an advice information book to give them a guideline, especially with younger kids, where it should be a norm for them to want to play and do things.
When is it going to be understood by parents that this is some form of abuse? You know, by allowing your kid to overeat and under-exercise is actually not fair on the child because they don't have the sense to know any better.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right in terms of a child, you know, it's not born with the knowledge of what's right and wrong. They kind of get taught, you know, a lifestyle. And I think that it is down to responsibility of, you know, your kind of everyday life of what that may be. And, you know, more and more do we hear the fact that our society is getting very, very unhealthy, unfit, and, you know, it's a scary future ahead. And when I was at school, it was so normal for me to go out and play, you know, just to play and go home and want to have my mates round, do some activities, go on our bikes, do whatever and just be inventive. And I think that's all kind of changed because obviously the lifestyles have changed of adults anyway in terms of the demands in sort of your social work area. But I think that it's about time now with all these kind of warning signs about really unhealthy, obese children as well, that we start to do something more, and that means that there has to be responsibilities in the home place as well.
What about the nasty man at number 32 and the suicide bombers who are putting all our kids at danger? Is that a good enough excuse for them to stay in the house?
You know, I think there always has been issues in the past few years of the safety of child, whatever that may be, in parks. But what we're trying to say really is that parents can do things with their kids, and I think there's a communication level that needs to be readdressed here. You know, when I go around, I'm the National School Sport Champion, so I go around to schools and colleges all over the country trying to inspire and motivate, obviously, children and the PE teachers, and actually do some policy work to get more time on the national curriculum for school sport. And when I speak to individuals that have certain projects, ones with teenage kids called Girls Active, and I speak to these girls and say, why is it that you kind of drop out of sport in the teenage years? And a lot of the reasons are obviously body image and low confidence, self-esteem, feeling that they're not good enough to do something. But actually they kind of say, well, we don't get much encouragement. And I go, well, what do you mean? What about when you go home? What does your parents do? And they say, oh, well, they don't want to really know and they're kind of not interested. But then when you speak to the parent kind of says the same thing. Oh, they don't want us to get involved. They're not interested in us knowing. And actually, when I speak to the children, they kind of go, "I'd love it if my mother and father did more, because it would get me out more, because it would be what we all do. Or it'd be great if, you know, especially younger kids. Oh, I'd love to be able to go to park on Sundays and play with my mates, but always have the family there and do some competition." So actually, they do want to do it. I think it's about speaking to each other, and maybe the parents are lacking confidence because we've gone through that era where there was some lack of sporting and physical education in schools, and I think a lot of the younger parents kind of, it wasn't normal for them to just go out there, and I think it's kind of getting back into giving them some advice and tips on what they can do. And in this book I've given loads of different examples of games they can play with the kids in the back garden, or you know, at a park. But also one thing that I think might be quite interesting, there's a chapter in there that tells them about the kids' school life and what's expected of them in Key Stage 1 and 2. So actually the parent is aware that the child should be at a certain level, i.e. throwing, catching, coordination, balance. And I think parents are quite competitive, really, with their children. So if you were to find out that your child should be able to reach a certain level in the fitness area, you're more likely to go, can you catch? Can you throw? Can you do this? And then you kind of get that help attitude.
Help me with this. I was a musical child. Well, I was orchestrated, and I loved music, and I loved arts and things like that, and I loved talking. That's why I do this nonsense. I didn't love doing sports. Would you agree that there are some kids that are just not interested, no matter how hard you try?
I think there are a lot of kids that say they're not interested, but maybe, not because they're not interested, but maybe there's something that they just haven't found they liked. Because when you think about certain sports, most people just go straight for the football, cricket, hockey, netball thought process of what was at school. But actually now, in this era, the school, what they do now, they work a lot with clubs so that they bring the expertise in from a club, coaches and instructors, but also they bring a lot of difference and opportunities. So there are things like, and I've been to these schools and had to do it myself with them, cheerleading, street dancing, rock climbing, trampolining, martial arts, all of those things that then children can express in their own way. Because it's not about sport and elitism. It's not about necessarily competition and team games, although that is still there and should be there because there are some really talented kids. It's about giving them the reasons why you would do sport and activity. Now, for me, I think sport's important because not only does it give the physical benefits and, that feeling of pride and success maybe in someone's life, it gives that, help them with confidence, raises self-esteem, helps them with learn new skills, discipline that you get from sport. There's more attainment in class because kids are given energy output. The social networking you have, meeting new friends, and just the general life skills that you get from sport. And because when you're an adult, you know that the world's competitive. You're always trying to be the best you can be, and that's what we're trying to say to kids these days. So actually, there is so much for absolutely anybody, and that's what sport doesn't have as barriers. It doesn't matter what height, size, weight, age, race, religion, colour. It does not matter in sport and activity. There's something for everyone. So I disagree if kids do say, oh, I'm no good at anything or I don't like anything. And I say to them, well, try 100 different types. Then come back to me and say there wasn't something that you actually enjoyed.
It's amazing how people make it so complicated. I mean, I see all these celebrities and they don't help when they go and have all these gastric bypasses. When ultimately, eat less, do more exercise. It's quite a simple thing, but so many of us struggle with it, including me.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. A lot of it is down to common sense, really. I mean, when you're talking about nutrition, and I'm not a nutritionist and I wouldn't put my hands up to say I am, but I do believe in a balanced lifestyle in terms of balance your food, balance your energy output or the fitness levels that you do. I mean, it's very obvious that if you're going to go and eat chips every day, crisps, chocolate every day, you're going to put on weight and you're going to start not feeling good, being lethargic, and that's it. But what we're not trying to say is you don't have to cut out everything. I really disagree with diets. I hate dieting. I never did it as an athlete. I disagree with it because I just think that, you can have a balanced lifestyle. Everyone knows the importance of fruit and vegetables in a diet. A lot of people know that certain foods are carbohydrate-based foods, pasta, rice, potatoes, and they are kind of an energy source and a good energy source. And then fish and chicken and maybe milk is a kind of protein type food, which actually is used for, say, maybe repairing muscles if you do kind of fitness and stuff. And so then drinking fluids is good, obviously, for all different reasons. Skin, just vitality, not being dehydrated. So actually it's quite simple. What I am saying is the fact is, have some of the things you like to eat, but eat it in moderation. And especially when you're talking about children, have it as treats. Have it as, if they've gone and done something that you would like them to set them do, I don't know, whether it's housework or whatever it might be, or they've kind of achieved something, and you set them a little target fitness-wise. Have it as a treat. You don't have to have bad foods every day. And we're not saying don't ever have them. We're not saying don't go and have a takeaway at a weekend, but you should not do it every day. It's just obvious, and it's kind of balance, having that balance and kind of making that your lifestyle, and you can't really do one without the other, because if you're going to think about being slim, which you should never be talking to kids about anyway in terms of being really slim, but you can say you can look good and feel good and be toned and have a nice body if you eat sensibly and do exercise. And that's the kind of what it is. And I try to kind of make it quite simple in the book, really, about, like you say, what everyone should know. But actually, because there's so many things that are out there that kind of become a bit confusing because you never know what's right and wrong, I kind of just said the basics, really.
My antichrist is bread. I cannot stop eating bread, and I know it's not good for me, really. It is in one way, but not if you eat too much of it and lay in bed all day.
Well, again, I mean, yeah, it's like anything that you have too much of, that, I suppose not fruit and vegetables, because obviously they're meant to be the best thing you can have, but, you know, if you're going to have a bread and, you know, it's kind of a stodgy food and you eat lots of it, there's going to be something that probably isn't great in your diet. And the other thing is about not eating too late, i.e. sort of after 7 o'clock. You shouldn't really have a big heavy meal, because then you don't do a lot of exercise after that time, or movement, a lot of people, and so you're just then sitting around and then laying in bed and going to bed, and your body's kind of retaining all the food. Again, the other thing is the breakfast. That's meant to be the most essential meal of the day, because it's starts the metabolism off working, and if you happen to, especially if you've got a busy lifestyle or eating habits aren't great, you kind of don't have the best thing during the day, at least you started off with a really healthy kind of substantial meal in the morning, because actually this thing about, and I'm going into nutrition which isn't my area at all, but you know, this thing about if you don't eat regularly and sensibly, then your body feels like it's starving, and actually you retain fat, because what it does eat, it holds on to. So there are some just normal things, but my whole point is just get your kids out, especially at a young age. We need to get back where the children have it as part of their normal lifestyle, to want to have fun, to want to play games, to want to do things, to want to be active. And then their life will kind of be along that way later on. They just kind of feel better in themselves and maybe look better in themselves and kind of lead that healthier lifestyle.
Very finely, Kelly, what can I do about my man breasts? They're getting bigger by the day, and no, don't laugh, please. I mean, is there something I can stop eating? Because let's face it, you know, I'm sleeping 3 times a day, having 16 meals. Is there anything I can do to kind of make them shrink?
The thing is exercise, I'm afraid. Doing a bit of pectoral work there.
Pectoral? I'll write that down. I like that.
There you go. You could do a few, press-ups. Wide arm press-ups are pretty good for there, and some, get to the gym and do some...
All right.
Pec decks, there you go. You can do some things about that. You can have great pecs instead of your man breasts.
All right. Listen, it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for coming on the programme, and we'll have you on again. And look, just eat less, do more exercise. That's what we're saying, isn't it?
It is.
And buy the brand new book called Kelly, Get Your Kids Fit. Thank you very much for coming on the programme, Dame Kelly Holmes.
Thank you.